Yes, the show is called Cyrus Says. I'm in Cyrus's bungalow, in Cyrus's office, in the bungalow, in Cyrus's street, in Cyrusville, Cyrus Nagar, Cyrus Stan, wo sab piche hai. As you can see, all good. Huge story. We've got Akhil Rabindra coming in. He's going to be the next big thing in the motor racing world. I think India's got two, three big names coming up, and I think in the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see them really shine and take us to another level. But before we get to him, because he has to get his license, so he needs 2 minutes more. You can't drive all over the world without a license. So he's just going to get it. While he gets the license, I want to just tell you about another, since it's a car motor episode in a sense, car motor episode, worst label ever for any episode. It's a car racer episode. A friend of mine was driving and she stopped her car in the morning yesterday at when the light turns red, you have that moment where you're not sure whether you should go or not because it's orange and should you be advancing or not. So she sort of started advancing, then backed out, luckily because it did turn red, and stopped just at the zebra crossing. I just, for those who don't know, there are no zebras who are actually crossing. It's just a phrase, but they have the black and white stripes. So she stopped there, and from about 20 feet behind Mr. BST, who I think are the worst, most reckless, most aggressive, most suicidal drivers in the country, came and just smacked into her car. Because he wasn't bothered about red lights. BST ke liye kuch red light, red light nahi hai. They can do what they want. He went straight into the car and smashed it. And then I got out to help the lady because I could see this it was going to get bad. And the first thing he tells me, man to man, is, "Dekho, औरत को गाड़ी चलाने को नहीं आती." Straight. The misogyny is well directed and it continues in the prejudices that we have. This is something I will discuss with my expert, but he's a very young man, so he may not understand the pain that older men go through. He will feel it soon. That is the revenge of age. But in the meantime, let's introduce Akhil Rabindra. Akhil, welcome to the show. I can see you're looking very young, very fresh. That sounded like a creepy old uncle coming on to a young man, so I'll restart that. I'll quickly mention you're from Bengaluru, a city or rather a state where the government changes every 2 months, so you got to check who's your chief minister. You're an
Yep.
elite racer. Currently, you ply your trade in the European GT4 series. You'll explain
Yep.
to us how close you are to going up the ladder and finally becoming the next Lewis Hamilton. Akhil is a graduate in BSc Honours in Sports and Recreation Management from the University of Edinburgh, Scotland, which tells you that he's got a degree which is good enough. He doesn't need the talent of being a international renowned car driver. So he's destroyed somebody's career by taking that extra degree, which that person could have used having no other talent. Started his racing career with the national go-karting champion. So when you take your kids for go-karting, parents remember it starts there. That's where the next Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton, whatever, will be created. Akhil Rabindra started from just a simple go-karting championship. And Akhil, I'll just mention that when I was very young, I actually got to do a go-kart or got to sit in a go-kart and use it. Maybe I was 11, 12 in Pune. Now, this is
Yeah.
back in the
Hmm.
late 80s.
Yeah.
So I have to tell you, it was a wonderful feeling. I think it's a great way to introduce younger children to the idea of a motor vehicle of any kind. It gives you a real power feeling because you can actually learn it within like a few minutes.
Definitely, definitely. Firstly, thank you, Sai, for having me on the show, and belated happy birthday
I
to
cut
you.
short your introduction because it's so long.
Okay, I was going to start my bit. Yeah.
I mean, there's still, I've mentioned you're the only Asian to be selected for the Aston Martin Racing Drivers Academy consecutively for 3 years from 2019 to 2021. So he's
Yes,
an
yeah.
Aston Martin representative in that sense, but the only Indian to do so far. Um, okay, sorry. Now you can start talking. So
Yeah.
I do talk a lot, so you just interrupt me whenever you feel like. I talk
No
like you
problem.
race. It's very similar. Yeah,
No problem at all. Thank you very much for having me on your show, and
our
belated
pleasure.
happy birthday to you.
Oh,
And
thank you
just
very much.
oh, did you do anything fun or?
Well, I avoided my wife, so I guess you could. I suppose you could put that down as fun. But when you turn 50, Akhil, it's a very horrible period in your life. You don't want to mention it to anyone. So I was quite ashamed of the figure. So I try to keep my head down. At your age, it's difficult for you to empathize because I'm sure you guys still have birthday parties with champagne
Yeah,
and
of
friends
course.
coming over and all that. So, but as you age, it's not done. Apparently, the government frowns on it anyway because of social distancing. I don't know. Is Bangalore still very worried? Mumbai is slightly open, but we are still, people are looking at you like you're sick when you walk on the road and keep that distance and all that.
Yeah, Bangalore, I think the situation is, I think there's a 5 to 9. So 5 a.m. it opens up and 9 o'clock it closes. So basically all commercial establishments, restaurants and everything else closed by 9. So technically you're allowed to, get from place A to place B. after 9, but you won't get anything. You won't get any food or any restaurant or
Hey,
anything
Akhil,
open.
don't now lagao this to me, bro. I've been, it's like my second city. Listen, the biggest problem we had from the 90s when we started working at MTV and going to Bangalore 3, 4 times a year is that they
Yeah.
shut the booze at 10. Okay.
Oh yes,
So for
yes, of
y'all, it's
course.
no
And 11
pain.
it went up to, yeah.
It went up to 11 under one
11, yeah.
great command, and now it's come back to 9. So you're in the same. I mean, come on, it's not so
Yeah,
bad.
yeah,
We
we've been
used to
there.
go
We know
until
that.
we
Yeah.
used to go until 3, 4. So for us,
Yeah,
Mumbaikar, there's huge difference in Mumbai and Bangalore's bank. For me,
yeah,
Bangaloreans, you have party, you have an event, they're on time.
yeah,
Okay, so they're much more disciplined in that sense. So
yeah.
you can actually work with that. So I think it's
Because
okay
there's
for you
a
to have a
cutoff.
lockdown.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because you work with it. You're disciplined. Our people go mad. They want to leave home at 10, but 9 is the cutoff. So what's the point? You can see. Okay, let's not digress. We got so much to talk about. So, first Asian to be with the Aston Martin Racing Drivers Academy. Just explain that to us. So that's like your training there.
Sure, yeah. So basically, Aston Martin has two parts, right? There's the Formula One team, which we all see racing in F1. So that is kind of separate because they focus on Formula One. Aston Martin Racing is the GT cars. So, in very simply to explain, GT cars is basically these cars which I race, are sold as road cars, but just the shell is what is on the race car. Everything else on the inside is completely different. The gearbox, the suspension, the brakes, the chassis, everything is made lighter, faster,
So
stiffer,
it's like a
safer.
Bollywood actress. The outside you can change to anything, but the inside it's the opposite. But the inside remains the same. For y'all, it's the outside you change. Oh no, the outside you keep, and the
Outside
inside
is
you
the
change.
same,
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. Got
And
it.
and then we race, and there's three categories like in the Formula ladder. So we have GT4, GT3, and we have another parallel to GT3, which is called GTE, which runs. It's called Ease Endurance, which runs in the WEC Championship. It's a World Endurance Championship, and the big race there is Le Mans, which is happening this coming weekend. So it's two different worlds. Formula cars, where again you have Formula 4, 3, 2, 1. In GTs, you have similar, where it's a bit confusing, where there's only GT4, GT3, and there's GTE, which is on paper it's as fast as a GT3 car.
But the climb, the ladder is all to go to F1 only at the end.
No. So we don't go to F1. So the peak of our ladder is when Aston Martin Racing, for the GT part of it, one day come up to me and employ me full time to race for their brand, for a year. So basically, I will be fully employed and I'll race their cars wherever they tell me to race. From
So what you're
in the
telling me,
whole world.
sir, with due respect and no offense, is that they'll pay you millions of dollars, but at the end of the day, you're
I
still a
hope.
driver.
Racer. That's the difference.
Racer.
Yeah.
So Jehan Daruwala and you will not compete because he's trying
No,
to get into
no.
the F1 world, and your world
Yeah.
is a parallel world with
Yeah.
slightly different vehicles and engineering involved.
Yeah,
Obviously.
so I mean, it's end of the day, it's still four wheel steering and and a fast car. But his like the Formula route, right? So there's his aim is to get to Formula One, and hence he's in Formula Two. My aim is the technical word is to become a works driver, or a factory
A
driver.
works driver.
Yeah, or a
How does that
factory
sound
driver.
better? You're actually an
That's
elite
the
racer,
technical
and
term.
then when you say
Yeah.
works driver, you sound like an Uber guy without a job for 20 days here in Mumbai. That's
Even worse is
terrible.
factory driver. Yeah.
Yeah, what is factory, bro? These guys, I think Europeans don't understand what we've been through in terms of labeling and tags and what we've
Yeah.
carried because of colonialism, etc., etc., the caste system, what have you. They don't understand all this. They think it's all just a term. I think we have to
Yeah.
change it for desi
They look
purposes.
down on you when you say factory driver. I said no, it's actually a big thing.
Yeah, you can't tell an Indian factory driver. Look at your dad. I mean, you're a graduate from University of Edinburgh, Scotland, at a cocktail party. Mom and dad are talking. He's done very well. And then, but what does he do? He's a factory driver. I'm thinking that's it comes down. Let's call it racer
Yeah.
because you are a racer. I don't want to ask you how much money you can make. If you want to drop it in, please tell us. Just for those people who would like to take it up. But let's quickly go back to the beginning. Then we'll talk about all these
Sure.
podium finishes also as much as we can. How the hell, Akhil, did you get into this? I mean, you seem to be a normal Bangalore kid growing up, and where did you get all this information from? How do you know you were talented?
Yeah, so that was very interesting because I don't come from a motorsport family. Nobody I know or my parents knew were in racing, if it's cars, bikes, or anything. So it's completely new to us. The only thing was we used to go rental go-karting on the weekends, right? And then we used to
For
I
fun.
used to happen to be for fun, just recreational go-karting, and I happened to beat all the people there. But that's not a great validification
No, no,
saying
no,
that
no,
you're
no, no. It
anything
is.
great.
It is. I'll tell you, it is. I'll give you a parallel. You can see a guy who's playing cricket in the lane with all the other boys, and then he's only 8, but he's able to, play proper strokes and something which the 11 and 12-year-olds can't cope
Yeah,
with. And then, you can
yeah.
see a spark. You can see a spark. That's. I really believe that people don't understand what it is raw talent. The raw talent
No,
separates you actually from other people.
but our sport is dependent so much on machinery. I will tell you why a young guy will always be fastest, because a go-kart is only 80 90 kgs. You put a 40-year-old
The weight
40
issue.
put the weight issue. Yeah,
You
so
don't
it's,
want to
it's
call me
even
names. You were
no,
about
no,
to say,
I was just,
Cyrus, you and me race, and I'll win only because I'm lighter. No, I
it
still
is
don't buy
true,
it, bro.
because I think
There's a
lesser,
skill
even if
involved.
you have lesser talent, I mean, if you're lighter by 40 kgs on an 80 kg go-kart, you will be faster down the straight and everything. So not necessarily, yes, you need to use that extra speed and power you have to get through people. But yeah, if you don't know how to do it,
Akhil,
then you're
come
just
on,
be
yeah.
sitting behind.
Honestly, tell me. I mean, I know not so much Bangalore, but I know in Chennai there's those horrible races that used to take place on the beach, and they were really fast. Those guys,
Yeah,
and I think in Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, in that area, a similar thing, like a black market for all that happens. I had a friend called Bobby who used to have an open gypsy, which he didn't
yeah,
spruce up. I'm talking about 90s, well before you were born. But
yeah,
he was faster than any of us. We used to have. I apologize for driving
yeah,
badly as a teenager, but we used to have these races on Marine Drive, Worli Seaface, wherever we could find some space. He never lost. There's got to be
yeah.
some skill element. I mean, we had
No,
Maruti versus Gypsy a little bit here and there in the car, but the guy was great. Yeah, he would turn. He would be able to turn on two wheels and all. At full pace and all. There was skill.
yeah, definitely there's skill, because when somebody once asked me when I was a kid, so what skill do you require to be a racing driver, and I was kind of puzzled, because it's not like athletics, something where you need big muscles or any other sport, right? Or extreme. We need a little bit of everything in small amounts. So it's definitely having reaction, having motor skills and ability, but I think it's very hard to describe how to be fast in a car. And if you want to polarize it from whatever I've studied, there's very few performance enhancing drugs you can take to go fast in a racing car versus
Yeah,
other
well,
sports, right? Yeah, you either you can't calm yourself, you can't get yourself super energetic, because
right.
how does that really
Help.
take you faster on a circuit or on a corner? So that was a very interesting thing in our sport. There's nothing really you can do. And other sports, you could have bigger legs or bigger something and you'll run that much faster, or open up your chest and you could breathe better, or whatever they do. But yeah, but
I don't
coming
know if
back to
that's
the
correct. No,
talent part,
opening up your chest to breathe better.
I
I don't
mean,
know. I'll check
yeah, I'm getting more air in.
Baba Ramdev. I don't think that really works. But no, I get your point. And I'm just thinking, let's not put down the motorsport. I think you're being humble here, because all of us drive cars, and we know there are people who drive them better.
Yeah,
And forget
yeah,
your level, Jehan, yourself, people who are on the elite level. I mean, that's another ball
yeah,
game. I'm saying that in any sport, is it not true that you sort of compute in your mind all these things? Like, let's look at cricket or football. Before Messi hits the ball or knows
yeah,
where to take the ball, his mind.
yeah.
It's not like it's consciously
It's a
done more.
feeling.
It's a subconscious thing, right? It all
Yeah,
comes
it is.
together because you are able to do it in this collective
Yeah.
way where everything comes together.
Yeah, so exactly. So the thing is, when we're racing, no 2 seconds are the same. And I say that because your fuel is always getting consumed, which means your car's getting lighter. Your tires are always degrading, and you're physically getting tired every lap. And the track is either getting worse, better, or very rarely remaining the same. So you're never having, whenever you come at a corner
How
for
does it
this
get
next
better?
lap. Whenever cars go around, they rubber all the basically the tire rubbers in the
They
track.
rub out
So
the road. Yeah.
yeah, and then the track gets a lot grippier because it has the rubber of the
Oh,
tires. So then you're able to brake a bit late. It's like if there's sand on the track, there's less grip. Versus if there's 1,000 cars gone there 1,000 times, that part of the tarmac is just rubbered in. That's the technical term, and then you have a lot more grip.
or maybe shoes also, right? I mean, the basic funda of shoes is the new shoe gives you trouble, and after you break it
Yeah,
in, yeah. Does that
in
work
some
for
way,
marriage?
yeah.
Okay, what do you think? The new wife gives you. Don't
I
answer
think
that.
I
You're too
still
good.
have a few years to go.
You may win all the races in the world. You'll come last in that one. Be careful. Okay. Great. So I interrupted the whole story again as usual. We were talking about the
Yeah,
fact that you were good at go karting, but like you said, that's
yeah.
not enough to say that you're going to have a huge motor vehicle career. But
True. So we went from one place to another place, all recreational, beating the local people coming on the weekends, all ages. Then one person said, "Hey,
all
you
ages.
seem to have all ages. I mean, there were kids to uncles who thought they were fast and everything. So beating them was, I think the uncle
So you were
felt
like the
a bit
local star.
insecure.
People would be, let's pit Uncle so and so Chacha versus Akhil, take him on or whatever. I can imagine. A lot of egos must have got
No,
bruised, especially the older
yeah, for
males.
sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so did all that. Then actually one person said, there's something called professional go-karting. Go and try that. So obviously we had no clue about it, and this was about 10 years ago. And then we figured that there's professional go-karting, and then we signed up and we went. And there I happened to be decent at it. And then then just did professional go-karting, then did a rookie championship and nationals, and it continued.
Okay, professional means you got paid.
No, professional go-karting is basically really fast
Competitive.
go-karts compared to your recreational ones.
Oh, okay.
So these go up to about 120, 130 kilometers per hour, and obviously accelerates really fast to that speed.
Wow. And you're sitting in that cramped
So
pram-like
yeah,
space.
yeah,
So that's
yeah.
quite
So
120. I mean, 120 in my normal Honda will be bad enough. That's pretty good.
so that is a really fast go
But
kart,
did you get a practice, or you were
and
just going on
obviously.
the weekend? And how do you get? How
So
were
this
you allowed
was
to practice?
another interesting thing. Very few tracks were there 10 years ago, and there was one track which was in Kolhapur, which was I think is like 600 odd kilometers from Bangalore, and that team basically that team had its own track. And then we said, we're new to this, we need practice like any other sport, right? You need to be at it to get better. So what we used to do is during school, we used to leave Saturday early morning at like 5, 4:30, get there for like 11. My dad and driver, they used to split the driving, get there to 11, and then we used to practice, eat lunch, practice. Next day, do the same thing, practice, eat lunch, practice, leave about at 4, 5, get back into town. I mean, get back Monday early morning, and dad used to go for work, and I used to go to school. So I think that
Wow.
was the initial few years, because you can't just do like
This
2 days of
this is a
practice
great
and think
story
you know
for
it.
the Europeans to show your struggle, because this is your only third world
Yeah.
story. You don't know you're an urban Bangalore guy whose lifestyle is probably much better than the average Europeans. So this sounds more like a desi guy struggling in Garibo ka desh and all that. Don't mention the driver. Huh? Having a driver kills it. But this is
I'll
the
say I
irony, and
didn't
this is
struggle.
funny.
Yeah.
I know, of course you did, Akhil.
Yeah.
Listen, you never apologize for your class. You're born into it, or your caste, or your religion. You're born into all these things. Never. We should never apologize. We should say thank you. Talk to my parents. But I'm just thinking they drive and then you drive. There's like an irony there. You drive for 5 6
Yeah.
hours and then you drive
Yeah.
professionally and then you drive for 5 6 hours back. I mean, even if you were swimming or playing cricket or tennis or whatever, it would be fine. But imagine you drive and then you drive again. There's no respite for that.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, there's when you have the infrastructures at back then was very little, and you had like one track, so you have to just go where a resource was, and then you have to wherever you want to get better, you got to practice, and there's only one track, and that's how it was. I think now at least you have a few more tracks in the south and in the north, and it's more accessible. But I mean, just with over time, it's become easier for
But
everyone.
you've told us another thing which I think is spot on. If you see the achievers in sports in India, wherever the hell they come
Yeah,
from, rich, poor, etc., the role the
yeah,
parents just have to play.
yeah,
Which
yeah,
because sports is not encouraged, you're looking at
yeah,
an elite sport which has no
yeah,
structure for you in one of the biggest cities of India, and so you
yeah.
have to go to this other place, and your dad, poor chap, is will kill his weekend going up and down with you. Which is if you see the story of successful sports persons, even if it's the Indian hockey team, the things like that, the parents'
Yeah.
role is quite magnificent actually when you come down to it. That they did that for how many
Definitely,
weekends
definitely.
the dad must have
I
had to go
think
up and down.
I think I completely agree with you. I think the only one thing my parents said was you would continue your educational stuff parallelly, however difficult it was. Hence, I studied sports management. I wouldn't have survived engineering or anything else. I took something which was in line and probably easier to accomplish. But end of the day, I look. When Dad says you got a degree, which is the most important thing. But yeah, going through your 10th and 12th and your undergrad and all that, and kept racing. That was something where they put their foot down and said, there were a few other drivers, who really went, 100% in, and, left other things. And, that's completely fine. That's a different approach. But I think my parents, coming from a more middle class, education is key. Education is everything. Just do something which is half relevant and get a degree and pass your 10th, pass your 12th, just keep moving, don't stop. And as long as you can do both, we'll support you. And the other thing with motorsport is it's very expensive, right? It's not a tennis ball and a racket or a cricket bat and a ball. It's so many other things. You have your machinery which runs into lakhs. You have your gear which runs into several thousands. Then you have a team to operate it because it's a complex machinery. So all these, and you got to rent the track, which is several tens of acres. So when you add all this up, it's a very expensive sport even to practice it.
I can imagine. But that's the sad part is that you won't be able to increase the pool of talent because of all these obstacles, and it
Yeah,
kills a lot of people off because the income group is not right, etc., etc. But
yeah,
what you've not mentioned here is the Bangalore story. See, there's a saying in cricket, if I can share that with you. If they say the selectors apparently say that if the cricketer is equal in skill and whatever for the country between a
yeah.
Bangalore cricketer and a non-Bangalore cricketer, always choose a non-Bangalore cricketer. Why? Because all Bangalore boys are educated. They'll get a job. Their life will go on. But everybody else, this is it. They have no other
Yeah,
chance. I've thought about that. I can't think of a single Bangalore cricketer who's not well educated. All of them are. KL Rahul, Mayank Agarwal right now. You go to
yeah,
Srinath, Kumble, all engineers. You go to Dravid, I mean, the best spokesperson for Indian
yeah.
cricket in the last 20 years.
I think Dravid set
Everybody.
the tone. I think, yeah,
Even GR, the great Vishwanath, all of them are
yeah,
all educated guys.
yeah,
So I think
yeah.
that's a Bangalore thing. You can't escape that, bro. No matter what you do, you're going to, have that. And of course, sadly, you won't need that because this is very clearly your career now. I don't know how that's good. Maybe it'll help you one day when you start a business
Yeah.
alongside sports. We'll talk about that in a second. We have time. We do have time. But let's quickly go over all these things. In 2017, you were selected for McLaren GT Driver Academy along with 7 other drivers from across the world.
Yep.
Akhil Ravindra came third in the silver category in his debut GT championship held at, uh, I can't pronounce it, Oulton Park.
Alton Park. Yeah, yeah,
I'll say Cubbon Park, England. Okay,
yeah,
UK. It's a funny spelling. So can you just explain that to us because you're talking about being Aston Martin Racing
yeah,
performer for them,
yeah.
and now this is. Please keep in mind, a lot of us don't understand the structure, the hierarchy
Sure.
involved in racing. So the McLaren GT Driving Academy is what then?
So basically, I pursued the Formula Car route, right? Like what Jehan has done and the other Formula
Okay,
racers from India. So I reached Formula 3, British F3, and then it came a time where we had to kind of understand where we want to go. And to be very honest, this was our thinking back then, in 2016, end of 2016 is, Formula 2, one is very expensive and going, and then you have 20-25 drivers, and unless you're supremely talented, supremely lucky, you will need 2 years, if not more. But 1 year is when you're, one in a billion people where you're just so good, and then you make it. And if you do well in Formula 2, you gotta wait for your chance in Formula 1, which is not like, it's not sequential. You do well in Formula 2, something opens up. Somebody has to get knocked off in those 20 seats for you to get in. But at the same time, there's already guys waiting there. So it's simple supply and demand. This was our thinking back then, and obviously there was a financial element and so on and so forth. But in the GT universe, you have manufacturers, right? You have Aston, Audi, all the way to Ferrari and Bentley and all these guys. You have about 10 different manufacturers who are racing their cars in, like I said, in these three categories: GTE, GT3, and GT4. And the probability, and each of them have anywhere between 5 and 10 or maybe even 15 factory works drivers. So the ladder there is you need to get associated to a manufacturer. And the first step of the ladder is being an academy driver. Then you get to a junior driver and then a factory driver. And like anything, there's a pipeline, right? You'll have 5, 10, 15, 20 academy drivers. Then for you to get a junior spot, somebody has to go away or go up the ladder to a factory. And the same thing, when you get to a junior driver,
it opens up.
you'll
But
opens up.
But haven't they thought it through? Factory driver sounds the worst. Junior driver sounds nice. Academy driver sounds beautiful. It sounds like, some really classy thing. Academy driver. Junior also not bad. It just gives you a chop and a place. But a factory driver is just not working in Indian. In Desi
What,
terms,
what
it's
what would you recommend? We can we'll
because it
ask them to
actually
change it.
means you're top of the grade, yeah. So it should be like top driver or top gun or something like that. They should have a nice flamboyant name to it. Again,
Yeah.
they haven't thought of Indian cultural ethos when they come up with all that. Okay, I'm just kidding you, but it's very interesting. So that's where you are right now. But
Yeah.
just quickly to mention, you had a podium finish, top 5 finish in GT4 European Series 2019, along with
Yeah.
3 podium finishes in the 24/8 series for your team in the same year before the lockdown happened. Do you get is it a professional earning thing when you win these, or is it points? What happens?
No, so yes, it's like points. It's a championship. You do well each round, you get points. Most amount of points wins the championship, and same thing. So the only benefit with being with the academy is they subsidize various things for you. So a lot of our training, the simulator fitness training is subsidized. Couple of the things on track is also subsidized, and more importantly, we have access to a whole manufacturer, right? If it's the works drivers, on a technical driving thing, I'm going to this track, I'm driving this car, give me some advice. Or if you want to go learn about the engineering of the car, on how to set up the car to go faster, because at the end of the day, the car needs to be well tuned, if you put it in a loose language, to your driving style and the circuit to get to extract the best out of it. So really good drivers, if you've seen even Rush, Niki Lauda used to always set up the car really well, because if he knew the car so well, and he knew the track so well. So if you can set up a car well, that's one big box tick.
So you've done the wrong degree. You've done honors in sports and recreation management instead of engineering. You've been mechanical engineering, bro, as far as I can see. So are you saying the best guys actually know their car inside out as well? They're almost on par with the engineering team.
Yeah,
they don't just turn up and say, "Help me."
They know enough of what they don't want. So there's when you come back and give feedback, you come and say, all this is not working. That's one way to do it, right? And then the engineer goes and racks his head and be like, okay, this is all not working. How do we do something? The next level is, okay, all this is not working, but maybe we can try this, and this, and see if it works. And then you try that, and maybe filter three, and then come up, and you just conclude into the three things which work.
So forgive me for sounding like a 2-year-old, because this is really, very complicated sort of science here. It's not just the driving bit. Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton, and Akhil will all have different requirements, even if they're driving the same car. They're all with McLaren, driving exactly the same car. What works for you is different. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say that, to some extent it will be the same, but driving style is a bit different. So, like if you watched Hamilton, right, back then he used to be the latest of late breakers. He the commentators used to say he's not manages tires and all that. But, to drive like that versus, take a Jenson Button, or if you look at Sergio Perez in all the Force India days, he used to always save his tires the best. So he used to always, do really well on the races.
That's a longevity, like stamina thing, the tires that last.
And that's a different driving style, right? You're not really going 100%, but you're kind of saving, but also, it's also performance. And I say saving, you're still driving as fast as you can. So that helped him, put another 5-10 laps on, versus where Lewis was a different driving style.
Can I interrupt? I just had a very bad thought. So the Indian drivers will be, because of the way we're raised, will be always trying to save the fuel also. Just naturally.
We do have fuel saving too. I'm not, we have to lift off and sometimes go to neutral and all that to save fuel. But that has helped me from watching these taxi drivers and all that, because sometimes when we get the fuel warning and you're like 2 laps to go, you literally neutral and lift off and like anything to not use the fuel.
How can you run out of fuel, bud?
When you're really on the limit, where the calculation has gone a bit off.
Wow.
So you cross the checkered flag and stop the car. That's it.
As far as sport goes, there's so many variables in motor racing of any kind, where you can't. For a guy like Lewis Hamilton to dominate Formula One, it must be taking something, because I can't think of any sport which has so many variables, combinations, permutations, match that has to work properly. As you said, the machine and the person have to coexist together, which is another science altogether, separate from just the machine.
And another element in GT racing is I race with another driver, and the longer the races, there might be 2 drivers. So GT racing is always, that's why the cost is also a bit. So all my races this year is a 1-hour race, where if I start, he would finish, and if he starts, I would finish. And in longer races, you would have up to maybe 3 or 4 co-drivers. So then then your variables are higher, right? If he's not as good as you, or if he gets tagged in his part, you don't even drive sometimes.
But it's the same car, right? So how do you adjust then?
So then we obviously you got to work with each other and find a neutral balance, where something where he's comfortable with and you're comfortable with, and at some point you just get on with it. If he's a bit more stubborn, then you have to deal with him and adjust, or if he's a bit more compliant, then you set the car up to what you like better.
I feel you should have gone for a female partner, Akhil. It's much easier for the cross-gender relationship.
I did have one, by the way, in one race.
I wanted to ask you that, without sounding misogynist and sexist. Why is it that it's dominated by men, or is it not a glamour part for female sport? It's a very masculine sport. What is the reason?
I think there are a lot of female drivers.
They don't get the mileage.
Yeah, but to be very honest, there are very few who are fast. There are a lot of them who are good,
You're
but
saying,
very few.
women who are not fast. I'll write this
No,
down.
not, I mean, I'm saying that even with male racers, there's so many of them who are not fast, and there's so many of them who are good. It's the same. It's not a gender bias. But I don't know if you've been following something called the W series, which has been racing,
Women,
and it's a
yeah.
all women series. So that's really good for the sport. It's been happening for the last few years, where it's called a one make series, where the car and engine and everything is the same. It's basically driving performance. So and then they've scouted. I think 30 or 35 different women from parts of the world, and then 20 race, and then I think the last five or six are replaced every
Yeah,
few rounds or
but this is a
something.
great idea, the level playing field with the machine, and then
Yeah,
only the human factor being different.
yeah.
Because you guys, yours is such a complicated science now, and that I'm sure when you lose or don't, the performance is not great. You don't even know where to start because you will go through all the factors that have contributed to. Forget just tires and things that I can understand, but there's so many other things as well. So I'm
Now
just
I'm going to
thinking,
explain a bit more and complicate it more for you. So Formula
please
racing
do.
is pretty straightforward, right? If one F1, F2, F3 is you have a car, you're driving it throughout, you have an engine, you have a chassis. So what we have, because we have different there's something called BOP, balance of performance, right? What this is established in any GT category because you have cars with rear engines, you have car with mid engines, your car with front engines. The weights of the cars are different, and the engine capacities are different. You have all the way from a V4, I mean, 4 cylinder to a 10 cylinder. Uh, so then, what balance of performance does is trying to balance all these cars and give them an equal opportunity. So, in theory, every race you enter, you always check the BOP before you enter, saying that how much weight have you given your car, or how much a boost or mapping, which is basically how much the engine power is used. So that's another variable where sometimes, so it's also a little bit dependent on your previous weekend. If you have done well, they will knock you down a bit on the BOP, the BOP.
So
So
either
then
the
let
weight has to
other
come
cars
down or the engine power has to go up.
yeah, so in a very stereotypical way, like the lighter cars, they will always turn up the power, and the heavier cars, they will always give it lesser power and lesser weight. So it's also like the heavier car will obviously have tire issues, right? Because there's so much mass it's carrying. A lighter car, even after an hour's driving, it'll have fresher tires because it's 200 300 kgs lighter. So it gets way complicated. So there's weight, which is added or removed. There's power, which is a horsepower or a torque, and there's something they do with the ride height. So ride height is basically lifting the car or lowering the car. It's basically the higher the ride height is not efficient. The lower you are, it's like take a Thar, right, which is very high up versus a Ferrari, which is very low to the ground. So you want to be as low as you can. So these are the three most BOP things they use.
Wow. Amazing. I knew so much before I met you, and now I can't understand anything. Thank you so much, Akhil, for that. You really opened my mind to nothing. No, I'm just kidding. We need to take a break and come back, but I want to just quickly tell you, do you know what you can do with the skill that you've got, if nothing else? I'm told that across the world, gangsters, the all need fast drivers, getaway drivers, and they will pay top dollar. And it's actually true. All the
Yeah.
famous gangs, whether in India, like the Chota Rajan, Dawud gangs, whatever, Ravi Pujari, or the famous Sicilian gangs in New York and all that, all of them, this is a skill along with the hitman they pay the most money for. Just think about it, to kill other people and to get away. These are the two biggest issues they have. It's more important than the lawyer. So Akhil, you call me if you want to make some top dollar. I have lots of friends in the underworld, and I'm sure we can set them up. Just don't talk to them about the strength of the chassis versus the weight of the engine and the size of the individual in the car, because you can't tell the gangster, "Ki, you're too fat, sir. Please get out." That won't work. Anyway, let's get a young man in who's actually done go-karting all his life in Powai. Silvery, he's our producer. Say hi to Akhil,
Not.
Silvery.
Hey, hi,
Uh,
Akhil. Good morning.
Hi, how are you?
we did have for a long time a decent go-karting culture in the 90s in Mumbai. I can't talk about Bangalore, Delhi and all. And it was quite popular. And so I
Yeah.
can imagine all these uncles getting infuriated by some young buck who was beating them regularly. We were like hustling in snooker, or when you have this kid who's a whiz kid, and it really irritates the other guys if they slowly realize he's really good at what
Yeah.
he does.
Why do
So
you
were you
think
good,
go-karting
Silvery?
went away? Why do you think go-karting went away
So, no, there
firstly?
was an accident. I found out that story
Mm.
after we spoke to Jehan. In Bombay, there was an accident, and they had a huge issue, like
Oh,
what's it called, police case and all that. Then it didn't become worth their
Yeah.
while, because now when he said professional go karting 120 km,
yeah,
in that
that's
small
lovely one.
tin thing. I mean, it's made by people like me. It's not even like safe, and I'm sure it was wobbling left, right, and center if you went at
Yeah.
top speed, right?
Yeah. I
So
mean, you get bruised on your ribs because there's no
Yeah.
suspension on it, right? It's
correct.
rock solid. So it's your literally whatever you move around is on your body and your bum. But these tracks are a lot bigger. It's almost like anywhere between 900 meters to 1.2, 1.3, and what we call a lot of runoff is having a lot of sand or grass, where the safety barriers, like in a recreational cart, your wall is the tire barrier which goes around you. But if you crash there, it's actually very bad. In professional go-karting, in case you miss a corner, there's a crash, you would go spin in the grass or the sand, and it's a much safer safety net there.
But did you ever fall out?
Yeah, I've fallen out after a crash. Like once, I think once when I had contact with someone, you get thrown out. But it's not it's scarier in a go kart than in any other car I've driven. I think in Formula cars it's not that bad. In GT cars you're fully covered, so it's not that bad. You're
Because in Formula cars, they've thought it through. Here,
yeah.
some guy got a license to start some park, put some go-karts in, and says, now it's your problem. That's exactly what happened apparently in Mumbai. Okay. So,
So
Silvery,
what do you think is the more fun car to drive, if I can ask? Like, is it a Formula car? Is it a GT car? I know they are
So,
different.
yeah. So the biggest difference, right, is the weight and the aero. So a Formula car has a lot of aero, and it's several tens of kilometers faster than a GT car in a corner, and it's lighter, right? It's one driver. It's a more compact. And it's probably 500 600 kgs lighter. So the part I miss is obviously the aero part. In a lot of the fast corners, we'll have to brake, or we'll have to lift off. In a Formula car, it'll be easy flat. So that's the part I miss. But GT racing, it has its own style of driving, right? And it's also longer races. So it's a heavier car which changes your braking style, and you have to work with your literal teammates where you're doing driver changes and all that. And when it's a long 12-hour, 24-hour race, it's a very different mindset and ball game when you do 24-hour racing.
yeah, but see, you're racing with pressure. I mean, obviously
Yeah,
you like it, that's why you're doing it, but you're always
yeah,
racing with pressure, with this pressure or the competitive spirit or whatever. What do
yeah.
supposing that's not there, what would you drive? Like just pure pleasure.
You mean a race car?
Yeah, without this whole thing about I have to win and all that. I mean, just for
Yeah.
driving pleasure, not for beating someone else and getting your points and going ahead, because that changes it a little bit.
I'll still pick a GT3 or a GTE or a nice Formula 2 or car or something. Formula 3 or Formula 2 car, because I've driven Formula 3. I know Formula 2 will be faster, so I won't say Formula 1. Yeah, a Formula 2 car or a or a GT3 car.
Hey, Akhil, have you ever hailed an Uber and because you're in a hurry, told the guy, "Let me drive"?
I've done it once actually. I've done it
What you
once.
saying? Come on, that's not possible. Say swear. Really?
Yeah,
How?
I was not in a hurry. I was just I didn't drive for a long period and I wanted to drive. And then I said, I'll drive your car. I won't go beyond 80 and I will be in top gear. So, you don't lose your mileage. So I was literally like cruising at 50 and at fifth gear at 80. I didn't like drive fast. I just wanted to drive.
But he let you.
And he let me. I did
payment extra.
I did help him, but yeah.
He should have paid Akhil for the ride. It makes no
I
sense.
Yeah,
didn't-
he's enjoying in his car. Yeah, just chilling behind. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Technically,
chatting
Wait,
to
I
did the
one
driver
was
sit
now.
behind or did he
fuel.
sit next to you?
Yeah,
Driver sit behind or
yeah,
sit next to you?
Let's not push it. What a fabulous story! I can't believe it. I've tried it a couple of times with the Kali Pilis in Mumbai when I've been in a hurry to reach the airport and I said, please,
Yeah.
मुझे गाड़ी चलाने दो and all that.
Yeah.
नहीं sir, आपको नहीं आएगा.
Yeah,
And
they
some ridiculous thing about top gear.
But my argument here was I would drive, at 80 and 50, I won't go fast. So I think it was a bit, it's an easier sell than I'm going to drive it fast and reach the airport.
But by the way, 80 is fast. Huh? Mumbai, we never
That's
see
the speed limit. Yeah.
80. We don't have space. Bangalore is terrible right now. Huh? I mean, in the lockdown, I don't know what happened, but let's say 2019 and before.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the traffic. What happened to you guys, man? Going to
I
the
don't
airport,
know.
coming back from the airport. I used to get depressed thinking about those drives.
Yeah.
And we literally started coming in the day before if we have something to do on the next day for safety.
Yeah. They say that if you reach Bangalore city or to transit Bangalore airport, so because it's so far away. But yeah, and it's all construction and a lot of stuff. Which
This is
makes
so
it bad.
frustrating, Silvery, for a guy like Akhil, who's basically going at 150, 200 km per hour minimum, and then suddenly he's stuck in Bangalore traffic or something.
Yeah, imagine.
His experience with cars is so different from ours.
That's actually a question that is there. That's actually a question that has come in. Himesh Marolia De Silva has asked. Himisha Marolia De Silva has asked, have you got stuck in traffic at Silk Board and Tin Factory? How does a race car driver react on roads? Is there an urge to speed?
Of course, Silk Board is, for those of you who don't know, is a very famous junction in Bangalore where I think this traffic has always been there because you have people coming in from 4 directions. It's not even like it's traffic going this way or that side. I think every direction in any part of the day, especially evening, is really bad. Of course, I've got stuck there, but what can you do? You listen to the radio or get on a phone call with someone and just get some work done or something. You can't do much.
How bad are those stops? Like, you're talking like half an hour and above, or just 5-10 minutes?
It depends. I mean, if it depends on I think anywhere between half an hour to 45 minutes, depending on time of day and
that's like a Sakinaka. It's like Sakinaka in Mumbai.
We just need work. Metro work has to start. That area is gone for the next 6 months to a year.
Oh God, yes. Absolutely.
I just, I was at that Vikhroli Powai. How we are talking our local issues. Immediately, he's got Silk Board. We've got Sakinaka and Powai Vikhroli. Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the AMAs.
All right,
and good questions.
I have a question, Akhil. Is GT closer in format to NASCAR? Because I think the cars look similar, or are they completely different?
No, so like I said, GT racing is basically like, say, the car I race currently is an Aston Martin Vantage, right? So you could go to Aston Martin and buy that car. And if you go to
No. You can potentially go to Aston Martin and buy that car. There'll be jokers who are listening to the show will be like, yeah, let's Google this. What are we talking about? What is it, like 3 crores, 5 crores? It'll come to an end.
It's steep, with all the tax and imports and duties and all that.
Although, how much do they strip down the cars that you use? Like, they have to strip down and make it a lot less weight, right?
It's one seat and it's everything to comply to safety and nothing else, and performance wise is as little as it can get, but you need to have a roll cage because in case you flip in
the cost to company, Akhil, will be more for less. All this is extra work, so it's all going to cost more. But technically, do you own your car? How does it work?
So the way it works is there's the manufacturer who makes these cars, and there are customer teams who buy these cars and you race for them. So you would have heard of, like I'm saying, if you see Le Mans and all that, you won't know any of those teams, but they all have gone and purchased these cars and they're running it for them. So the manufacturer is in AMR in my case, and the team can change every year sometimes.
It's like any other sport. So there's a team management which owns it, and there's the player who's the hero, and then you've got whatever.
It's like you don't say I play for ICC, right? You play for the Indian team, something like that, I guess.
You thought that through.
So sorry, you were saying, how is it different from NASCAR? Like, what's the difference in NASCAR?
Yeah, so NASCAR, I mean, I'm not sure how that works. So again, I think there the frame or the shell of the car is fixed, or depending on, I think there's Ford and all these brands, and I think it's more of a single make, I think, in NASCAR, where everything on the inside is the same as every other competitive car there, but the outside is changed. But here, like I said, there were different cars with engines in different places and capacities, where there's no two cars unless you're the same other car is different.
Okay, let's quickly segue before the next question to that offline conversation. You're a big fan of Top Gear.
Yep. Yes.
I think your generation is the one got to see it first, etc. Is that one of the reasons you got into this? Were they?
I think that was one of the reasons I loved reviewing cars. I mean, loved watching cars and new cars coming in, and guys telling you the specs and why it's better than the previous car, and they're comparing it to the other cars in its category. I think I fell in love with cars and understood more about its technical abilities. I think that part I liked, besides all the crashing and breaking stuff in that show.
And
I still love the Top Gear. I used to love the Top Gear news. The news segment used to be my favorite.
Yes.
Where they talk about, this new car is in, and look at this shit design or whatever, and they make fun of it. Yeah, they
didn't hold back. That was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
They were like Arnaud, but actually funny. Just telling it like it is all the time. Who's your favorite of the 3 anchors?
I think Jeremy Clarkson. I think he, like you said, he's not had that filter throughout, and maybe in the last few years it's become.
He got in trouble with the India episode, Akhil. Do you remember? where he was portraying toilets. He put the toilet on the car because there's no place to pee on the road, etc. So he would have an open
I don't
toilet.
remember that.
Yeah, so that offended a lot of people who said put some PIL out. Our country. Making fun of and the fact is there are no toilets in lots of parts of India because they always go to the interiors and drive where we have never gone ourselves.
That's why there was a movie made, right? Yeah.
Yes, toilet.
Yeah.
I see. Anti-government statement from the young man.
I
on him.
I used to be able to do a small Jeremy Clarkson impression. I'll try it right
please.
now. It's a you stupid idiot. That's how he says.
I think that's too Hammond. I think all the time.
Stupid idiot. That's a terrible impression. Sorry. I'll take it back. Cut that out.
They have a nice chemistry though. That the way they always pick on Hammond.
Yeah.
And then he had a horrible crash,
and
right?
Captain Slow, of course.
Yeah.
James May.
Yeah.
The Rimac in 2-3 years ago. Yeah.
And did you meet the Stig? You were telling us offline.
Yes, so the Stig long back, or one of the Stigs was a gentleman called Ben Collins. Again, racing driver and raced a lot. And then when he retired, he became the Stig. And then he actually came to India to do some racing, and he raced with us. And when we were chatting over lunch and all this stuff, he told us he did the whole Batman stuff and a lot of some other movies and all that. So yeah, I mean that Stig is a pretty serious contract where you really can't reveal, and very few people
Anyone can say they're the Stig, Akhil.
Anyone can.
Yeah, nobody would know. Yeah, correct.
I gotta tell you, I'm the Stig. Nobody knows.
Oh, shit. Well, not anymore. After you reveal it, I think that's the last time you know this Stig.
But the show's over. Did you like the second avatar? Akhil, the second avatar when they
the Grand Tour, right? Yeah, that's
Tour.
nice. I think I think the first season started with a particular location, and I think the crux of it is still the same, right? Various cars and categories, and sometimes now they're talking more on the future and electric and all that. How their opinions, maybe 3-4 years ago, where electric cars were not as good, efficient, fast, range. Now you're getting really fast cars and ranges are going up. So it's nice to see all that happening.
Would you race an electric car?
I think I would. I think it's very fast because there's no gearbox and it's instant torque, right? So that the fastest car right now does, I think, I don't know, 1.8 to 100 or something, which is ridiculous. But it's a $2 million car, electric car, but it's fast. Even the Tesla.
100 in a second.
1.8 seconds to 0 to 100 kilometers.
Wow.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
That's the Rimac Nevera.
Bro, I better do that.
That's the car. That's the car he smashed.
Will come
by the
off
way.
Otherwise, you can't do that kind of shit, man. It's scary. You got to be careful of all body parts, Silvery, when you entertain 1.8 seconds 0 to 100. Okay, sorry. Next question. We had questions.
Yeah. So Nikhil Rabindra is in the chat. Nikhil, your brother?
Cousin?
Yes,
Akhil?
Yeah.
He says, Cyrus, if you want to see a passionate response from Akhil, please just say AB de Villiers is overrated.
And he's a Bangalore boy. AB de Villiers is overrated. What are you saying?
No. He's I think he's loved a lot because of all the work he's done for RCB over the past decade. Yeah, there's even a petition, I think, to get a statue of it built somewhere in Bangalore.
That's a bit much. But tell me, he's obviously, this is an inside joke. So what's the joke? Come on, tell us honestly. You either like De Villiers or you do put him down in the family.
I really love De Villiers. I mean, I'm a RCB fan, and if you've seen any of his performances and all the matches we needed to, which was most in the years, he's always played up and done his role, and he's Mr. 360. He's Mr. Consistent and dependable for a reason.
Yeah, Mr. 360. I don't think any batsman in the world in this generation has that range, that full range that he has. Silvery doesn't like cricket. He's very upset you went from motorsports, which he loves. So you've gone to the wrong sport. Okay. What about Dr. Vijay Mallya?
What about him?
He started the RCB. You guys are so ungenerous, man. Not a word about him year after year.
And Formula One. I mean,
and Formula One. Yeah. Bro, Akhil, this is your guy. He's you. He loves cricket and he loves motorsport. And if you throw beer in, I mean, you're like the family member.
The holy trio.
The holy trio.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things goes unnoticed. When he did buy the team and name it Force India, that team did really well for when it was competing, because it wasn't the same thing. It wasn't a works team, factory team like Mercedes, Ferrari, and say Renault or Red Bull. They consistently came fourth in the championship, which was a very big team with a very big achievement with a reasonable budget. So, kudos to him when the team did really well.
Reasonable budget, which was paid or still to be paid? That's the crux of the issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's not answer. Let's not kick a man when he's down. There's lot. I don't want to take sides. Next question.
Next one comes in from Girish Patil. He says, to both of you, who is your all-time favorite F1 driver and favorite circuit?
See, I'm much older than him, so I'll say Juan Fangio, you know, Alain Prost, Nigel Mansell. There's a generation I remember properly, and it was just waking up in India. This well before he was born, actually. Nelson Piquet, you know these names. You remember the Ayrton Senna, then that follows. Obviously, everyone knows that. But so that generation for me, I was more clued in because enough of my pals were, urban Indians. Enough of them. Motor racing is like golf or something. Once you're in it, those guys are vicious. They they drop everything to watch the race, the sport. They follow it. So they cancel weddings and stuff. It's that big. Right? Am I right? You got a huge cult. The cult is just the intensity is as much as you're driving. The following, the fan craziness.
Yeah.
Sibri, are you crazy about motor racing?
Not crazy. I mean, I like Top Gear. that's my extent.
Like he'll get more out of it because he's crazy about cars and all, but we also get entertainment. They got that nice balance.
Exactly, that's why I love Top Gear. I like that it was funny.
It's like any Indian anchor, you want that. That's why you're watching.
Exactly.
He again, Arnav comes to mind. He's just gonna pick on people for no reason. He doesn't let them talk either. Yeah.
Also, like the Grand Tour is good according to me, but it's not the same magic as Top Gear was. No? Yeah, it is a little watered down. Yeah,
it's like he'd taken a beating and his personality is one dropped from what it was.
Yeah. He did take a beating because of how he got fired from Top Gear.
He gave the beating.
He gave the beating also. Yes, correct.
Okay, once you punch a guy, this is beyond motor racing. I mean, there's a line you cross, right? I mean, you punch a guy and all that. We were laughing still. Months have passed, but it's such a bully. At the start of the show, he didn't give him a steak for a ridiculous reason. The dinner wasn't ready or something.
Yeah, something. It sounds like it wasn't hot. I think the food wasn't hot.
It wasn't hot. I mean, it sounds so bad and elitist. He punches him.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh man.
I guess he was in Top Gear that day. Sorry, it's your question more than mine. So who's your favorite?
So, like I said, I started racing a decade ago, and I think I started with watching Hamilton when he was in his McLaren days. And couple of things, he's also a little bit, when I started racing in Europe, I got this a bit. He's always had his odds against him, right? He's the only black racing driver. He's not come from a wealthy background. He has to work his way up, build relationships, and fight as much as he can to make it to the top. And his driving style also, I really liked his driving. He was very aggressive. Very late on the brakes, and that's something I tried to adopt into my driving too. But yeah, I think
which is holding back.
I mean, braking as late and driving very aggressively.
Holding back on braking is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
is that dangerous?
I mean, it can be a useful tool in say in qualifying where you have to give 100%. But like I said, in 24-hour races where if you can conserve your tires and fuel, then it's not the best approach. So
you're doing tandem, Akhil, coming back to your point, and you're first, and you have this style, then that affects Mr. Finisher because he's got to deal with bad tires to begin with.
Yes, so that's there. So that's a bit of a very cheeky thing. If you start the race and you drive very hard, then the second guy has no tires left, and then if you don't do well in your second stint. On paper, it just looks like you had a bad result, but no one knows the guy has taken the life out of the tires in the first stint.
But also, obviously, your style, if I was the team owner, I would push you to the finish, the second.
No, but you're aiming to not kill the tires. You're aiming to drive hard, drive fast, but save it enough where you're getting the right amount of performance, but enough life to give it to your co-driver.
Like anything else, life is a compromise. There you go. That's what happens. Cool.
How many laps? Okay,
sorry. Yeah. How many laps? Meaning?
How many laps can you go with like the same pair of tires in GT4?
In GT racing, depending on the condition. But say you could potentially run to an hour. Depending an hour, I'll not say circuit or length because then the laps will differ. But an hour, say, because these tires are very expensive and also they're probably very good. They're good competitive until 250-300 kilometers, and then it's out. And it's almost 1,800 euros for a set of 4, and you're replacing this at 300 kilometers.
Yeah. Well, it's like Mumbai Alibag for me. We always check the tires before and after. I want to ask you this. My mechanic told me, Akhil, I don't know whether this is a good question to ask you, that you should never fill the tires, not obviously on a circuit, but for normal driving, and then go on a long drive. It shouldn't be like, filled and then followed by a long, I'm talking about like a 2-3 hour drive from one town to the other. So is there
Why is that?
Did he say why?
He said that the heat issue, that it can expand more in the Indian heat because you're not driving at night, and that can cause it to burst because sometimes they overfill it.
Yeah, but I think the first thing is
scare you, then you don't do it. I mean, the science may not make sense.
I mean, there's always a recommended tire pressure, and you would very rarely, you'd only put a lot of air if you're going like 5 people in the car or something, where you need that extra air to take 5 people and luggage.
Have you seen my family, Akhil? It's not the numbers which count. Okay, let's answer the favorite circuit. I think we didn't get that bit. So Lewis Hamilton, favorite driver and favorite circuit?
I would say Spa, which is in Belgium. Yeah.
You got a good result there?
Yeah, in the past we've done well. We've come top 5, very close to a podium in one of the years. But I think it has a really great mix of corners where there's very fast corners, at the same time very slow technical corners, and some of the corners you'll never find anywhere else in the world. It's very old school, dangerous also, and thrilling. Great for racing.
Okay, Akhil, I need to quickly mention here, because now that we're talking about it, you're in the middle of a season, in spite of all the lockdown, etc.
Yep.
You have Germany 3rd to 5th September. You have Barcelona 8th to 10th October coming up, which means that you're right in the middle of things.
Yep.
And so just quickly tell us how you have to go well in advance, because you'll get to check the circuit once, right? I mean, there'll be some training on ground.
Yeah. So in the way a typical weekend works for us is, again, we don't drive a lot in between the season. So it's not like, you don't practice every day. But the next best thing for us is the simulator, where the tracks are laser scanned, and the car on the sim is almost real to the car we are racing in terms of the gear shifts and the power and the way it reacts. So it's not efficient where you race a different manufacturer and the car you race, different manufacturer on the sim versus the real car. So the sims now with technology have become really good.
This sounds like a lockdown circuit. Sir ji, बाहर नहीं जा सकते हैं, अभी sim पे करना पड़ेगा. All the talent in the world sitting in their own homes. Yeah.
No, but these are like professional sims where the screen is like 180 degrees and it's on a rig and it moves and everything. So you would practice on the sim. It's also, since I've raced for a while now, I know the circuit, I know the cars, so it's all about getting things fine-tuned, right? So I'll probably run a full race weekend on the sim by myself. So I will practice, I'll practice qualifying, and I'll practice race. So when I actually jump into the race weekend, I'm more executing what I have planned and prepped.
For September, sorry to interrupt, 3rd September, Germany, in Nürburgring. You have to reach how many days in advance?
So actually, during a season, I'm actually based in the UK, and I don't come down often. It's only now that the UK has put India on the amber list from the red list, which means I could go back easily and it's not a hassle. So I would get there. I would do, like, if I'm racing on the coming weekend, I'll probably be on the sim Monday, Tuesday of that race week, and then fly out on Wednesday. So a good 3-4 hours.
I got a stupid question, but I just want to know, because we went to Alibag and somebody kept vomiting, driving me mad. So are you allowed to eat? Is it better to eat? Because see, it's a long race. It's not a 10-minute race.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking you would need some carbs in the body. You'll need the energy. Your brain fuel has to be there. So what's the food like pre the race?
I mean, it depends. I mean, you got to see, first and foremost, the nutrition is very important, right? So you're hydrating several days before, because you can't get hydrated on the day of the event. So you start, when I say hydrated, meaning you're really on 2-3 liters of of fluid, of water and other electrolytes and everything. So that way your hydration is up. And there's been so many studies with when hydration dips, your concentration goes and so on. Food wise, like anything, you'll probably eat 2 hours before. You'll probably have more carbs, so because you'll be exerting energy. And yeah, mainly you want to be focused, hydrated, and have energy to sustain your stint.
Well, I'm telling you, you're not going to get a good dosa, which would have sufficed nicely, perfectly, and light to digest as well in Nürburgring. So I don't know what you're going to eat there a couple of hours
Schnitzel
before.
or something, yeah.
Schnitzel or something, fair enough. And yeah, wow, what a life it is. Until you realize how glamorous your lifestyle is actually. I mean, you're in Germany, you're in Barcelona, you're on these elite cars, you have this elite championship.
That's what it looks like from the outside, right? But at the end of the day, you're getting in right before your practice, your day before. You're finishing your race and you're flying out as soon as you're done. So the fun stuff is traveling.
It sounds like our event companies, they take us to the best places, Istanbul, whatever, but it's the first flight back, bro. First flight back. You finish the event at night, 12, and there's a 4:30 a.m. flight. So in 4 hours, you're back at the airport. You've seen nothing. Yeah.
Do you have to maintain this pandemic lockdown bubble in GT4 as well?
Yeah, so the thing is, there's insane amount of testing, right? Before a race, during a race, post race, and then once you're with your team, you're in a bubble. So there's a team bubble where you're always with them, and then there's the championship bubble where everyone on the circuit is they don't let visitors come or fans come or anything. So that way, you're the micro bubble and a larger bubble on the championship. So I mean, sometimes people do come from the outside, but there's only that much you can curtail.
Yeah, that's true. So how did the pandemic affect you guys? Like, were you allowed to practice? Were you allowed to continue all this?
So at least in the UK, right, you could get out on an exemption for motorsport activities. So that was a bit lenient. Wow. So you could leave your house and go do anything if needed for racing specific activities. But obviously you can't abuse that and go to any public space or anything social. So, yeah.
And Indians are all well behaved abroad, Silvery. Have you noticed that? They abide by the rules. Only here they behave like Indians. When they go out, they behave like Englishmen or Germans or whatever they are. So nobody's going to, if they stand in the line, they say thank you and please, or everything changes. It's just, what happens? You cross into the equator or whatever, come down here and boom, we're different. But it is a lonely life. I know we're running out of time, but it is glamorous, but it's lonely also because, basically it's you and you're just trying to grow with the points and grow with the circuit. Yeah. And it's not like you've got 20 people from home who are going to be with you all the time to remind you of home and all that. So what do you do for, I won't say for fun, that sounds terrible, but I think the fun is in that high risk. I mean, you'd probably want no excitement, right? Because I mean, literally adrenaline must be flying, your blood must be all over the place after, I can just imagine. So what you would want is just like a drink, slow down, watch an old film or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, downtime is important where we say recharge your batteries and come back fresh. You don't think about your sport or your racing. Yeah, I mean, just like anything, you would have some nice food, maybe some junk food, watch some movies.
You bond with the other drivers. Who are your friends then when you're in these different places and in UK?
Relationship is hard because you're kind of working with them, and it's also because I'm in it. These guys live across Europe, right? So you just meet them for, for 4 days per round, and then 6 rounds and so on. So whatever you build is on the circuit. It's not like we would be best of friends after the championship. Not saying it won't happen, but it's a more working relationship. And if you change teams, then you want
to get away from them and that whole world because it's too intense.
It's an intense 3-4 days. Yeah.
From it. Yeah.
Yeah, long days, intense days.
You're not going to reveal your social service sector people and who they are in UK, what the girls' names are, and male friends if there are any. And
they were in lockdown, no, so there's nothing you could do.
You have to start all over again now. Fair enough. All right, can we take one last question, Silvery?
Yes, sure. This one comes in from Anonymous. Okay, he says, "Hi Akhil, what are your favorite road cars? And how far is the performance from race cars that you drive?"
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I've been privileged and lucky to drive a lot of race cars, a lot of road cars because of my occupation. And I'll say that looks-wise, and I'm not trying to be biased here, I think the Aston Martins have looked really good. If it's a decade, 2 decades ago, they're very sexy-looking cars.
The Vantage itself is such a beautiful car. Yeah,
and it's just the way the panels fit and it's flush and everything. It's very unique when you see it on the road. And I'll pick the Vantage because I race it, and if I had a chance and the money, I would buy it too. So yeah, that would be that. But if I had to pick
an Aston Martin Vantage on the streets of Bengaluru stuck in that what is the name of the street with all the issues with the girl? I mean, really. I mean, I'll feel bad for you. I'll be in my Maruti thinking, ha, what a fancy car, I can't go anywhere. I mean, really. Don't you ever feel that when you see these fancy cars and we're stuck in traffic? What a waste. They have this car there first, second, and they go home. What is the point of that? Yeah?
You feel worst about the clearance. You feel so bad about the clearance because speed breakers in India are so badly done that every speed breaker the car is hitting the bottom, and you're like,
okay. But you speed breakers. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm saying you can take it for track days, right? Where you could go to the circuit and drive it as fast as you can. Like for at least Chennai is close by to us. Yeah.
Chennai has got I think Chennai has got the most culture for this, or subculture, if you want to put it, don't they?
Yeah.
But I'm just thinking it'd be so difficult for us Mumbaikars. We just don't get pakka roads. There's always a fault somewhere. So, and you'll always land up hitting that. So I'm thinking, if I had a fancy car with all the money in the world, I'd be anxiety from morning to night. Yeah. Like I had a friend who bought a Valkyrie motorbike, all his money put into it, and then it became hilarious. He used to go to work in Nariman Point and look down. He was so scared about the bike being vandalized. And his boss came and gave him a lecture and said, "Boss, you can't keep doing this." He just keep looking down from the window to see the bike still there, and the bike. Because everyone will come and take selfies. The big handlebars and the green color and all. You can't. I don't know, bro. Next time you go to Germany, stay in Germany.
Drive on the autobahn,
yeah. Oh, there. Those guys are superb. How do they maintain the mileage? The mile, whatever, the speed.
I don't think mileage is on their mind.
I meant the speed. I've been on it once and they're perfect. Everybody was at the same, nobody went above the 90 or 80 or whatever. It was all exactly that.
Yeah. Wow. But whenever you get that open stretch, people are flat out. They're doing 300 and everything.
Which we do here also, brother, wherever we can. Anyway, okay, let me quickly mention as we close here, Germany, 3rd to 5th September. That's the next phase, and that's a big race. And then he's got round 6, which is hardly a month later, 8th to 10th October in Barcelona, Spain. So while the rest of the world is suffering with pandemic, Akhil Rabindra is going from strength to strength in Western Europe, enjoying himself, the best hotels, the best people, and some crowds are allowed now, right? To watch
slowly, yeah. It also is very country dependent,
Yeah. So I think Germany is better. You'll get people in Germany?
I think so. We should have. They'll probably cap it at some number that there will be some crowds. Yeah.
All right. Try to do that in India. It'll never happen. Okay, Akhil. All the best to you. Thank you so much. But I think there's an Uber driver waiting for you downstairs.
I'll let him do his job.
A lot of love and respect. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Cyrus. Thank you, Antariksh.
Thank you.